Okay, so we are back here again at En Route, and I have another wonderful guest, the one and only Magic Singh. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here. So I've never had a magician on before. Had comedians. I don't know why I said comedians and like as if comedians and magicians are the same thing. They're not. They're not.
Kind of in the same line-ish.
I suppose you do like make people. Do you make people laugh? It's more like. As opposed to ha ha ha.
I think the magic comes first, and then you can throw a bit of comedy, just pepper it in like
yeah,
that.
Exactly.
It works.
But you are my first magician, so I'm excited to get into it.
Thank you.
But I've got to start with the first question that I ask every guest, which is, Magic, where are you from?
Where am I from? So I was born and raised here in the UK in a little place called Hounslow and a little town called Cranford.
I was in Hounslow recently, actually. Yeah. I don't remember where it was. Isleworth?
Oh, Isleworth. It's not too far from...
Oh, is that not Hounslow?
It is. It's Isleworth within Hounslow. So
Got it.
It's all these little areas.
But
so
I've been to your ends,
You've been down to my ends. I like it, yeah. So that's it. Hounslow, Cranford, to be precise.
And then, background-wise, you were born here, but where's your family from?
Sure.
Wider. Let's cast the net.
Let's go. Yeah, absolutely. So dad's from Punjab, Amritsar, north of India. Born and raised there.
Also, like Puffin, isn't Puffin's dad from Amritsar?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. He's same. He's pretty much the same. We're gonna hear the same thing.
Yeah, probably. For those of you that don't know, Puffin, who's another one of my guests who did the beautiful henna, hubby, Bay. Right, so before we get into how you got into magic, I want you to show me a magic trick.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna have to pop your mic down just for a moment.
Right, no props.
So just quickly, I'm gonna mention. So I love fusing technology with classic traditional magic, and that's what I'm gonna do for you right now. So here's what we'll do. Don't make that disappear. Stay. What I'd like you to do is with your left hand, place it by your face like that. That's
like
it.
this.
So what I'll do is I'm going to take a photograph of you like this.
Okay.
So stay as you are. So 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Here we go. And then the camera can see. Now this all makes sense why I've done this, and I'll leave this in view just here for a moment like that.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. And what I'd like you to do now is place your hands up like this, and again you guys can see at home, a little bit further apart like that. Are you left or right-handed?
Right-handed.
So with your left, make a fist. Cool rings, by the way.
Thanks.
Rest it against your chest like that.
Yeah.
Right hand you turn face up.
Yeah.
Sharpie.
Yeah.
I know it's annoying, but this is my version
okay.
of henna. Henna 101. This is the bare basics with a Sharpie.
Oh, yeah, you're great at henna. Wow.
Oh, yeah, look at me go. Look
so
at me
good,
go.
So good.
So we've got the X or the cross, depending what angle you're looking at it. And you can come in, you can really see that, right? Okay, so here's the thing. We've got your photograph. We've got the X. Now look what happens. I mean, it won't come off easily because it is a Sharpie. But if I press here now, look. All I do is I'm going to slide it down once. Then I'm going to go to the edge, to the left. And now I'm going to go right down, leaving that tiny residue there, holding the rest of the ink. Look, we're going to throw it into the photograph.
No, you're lying. How the hell did you do that? That's actually the most mad thing I've ever seen.
But look, I mean, I know that's the photograph, but here's where it gets really strange. I mean, it's the picture, but I can take it off again. Look. Ready? I'm going to flick it in your left hand for real.
Wait, this one? No! What the hell? That's actually mad. That's
crazy,
mad.
right?
Did you see it? Wow. That was amazing.
That's on there forever now.
Thank you so much. It's such a precious gift that you and Provin keep giving me hand tattoos. So what made your family want to move from Africa back to India?
You know what? I genuinely don't know. Seriously. That's a good question. Oh my God.
I'm encouraging you here to find out.
I will find out and I will let you know. Yeah, I genuinely don't know. But all I know is I remember Mum saying they moved at a very, very young age.
Yeah.
And there wasn't, I don't know what the reason was. Yeah. I mean, because then most of her childhood was in India, but then her teenage years and beyond have been in the UK and London. Actually, well, I say London, it was Nottingham first. So the family were all in Nottingham. Notts. And then when Mum got married to Dad, she came to London.
And, you know, in terms of like your parents and their kind of South Asian-ness, like obviously they've went from Africa to India to not back to the UK, to the UK.
Yeah.
How South Asian are they, like, as parents?
Oh, as South Asian as you can be. And it's so funny, you know, hearing the term South Asian, you know, I wouldn't hear that at all. Even being in an Indian household, it will always be Punjabi or Indian.
Yes.
Being from a Sikh household, I mean, it was traditional but not strict. But they had their values and imposed that on me in a nice way. They raised me accordingly with the cultural aspects, the religious aspects, and they didn't say you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. It was more so, this is what it's about, this is what we do, this is how we will do it. And it was very cool, very laid back, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think like Hounslow as an area was quite like South Asian or even quite Sikh or Punjabi? Like, what did it feel like that?
Yeah, so being born and raised in Hounslow, everyone is Asian pretty much. It was a massive Asian population there. Even going to school, from nursery to primary school, junior school to secondary school, Asians, Muslim, Hindu, Sikhs, you name it, English. So it just felt normal, as that's how it was meant to be. So that's what I've been raised on. But then, of course, when you go off to university, I went to Bournemouth University. Yeah. It's predominantly all white English people. But yeah, I mean, I've always been just very laid back about everything, and just grateful for who I am and grateful for who I was surrounded by as well, and just learned about different cultures. That was the other cool thing as well. I really enjoyed doing that.
What, like growing up, like learning about all different types of South Asians, I guess.
Like Muslims, Hindus, even like the English friends as well. When we go to their house, when we play together, you see what their parents would make food when they make food for us, and we were playing, and the things they would have in the house. You think, oh, that's interesting. What does that mean? Or what's this? You'd be curious, and it's funny, isn't it? Something as small as that can, spark such an interest.
Yeah, definitely. And did you do so? It sort of felt quite like inclusive, because I know some people's experience as South Asian people in the UK doesn't necessarily feel like that.
That's true. And you know what? Even the generation before mine or ours, I don't know. I would say you would hear a lot about racism.
Yes.
Man, that was a horrible thing. And you hear these stories. Thankfully, because of the people we were surrounded by, there was hardly or no racism whatsoever, because we were the majority. Even when we'd go out shopping or anything like that, I would never think about anything or feel uncomfortable in any way. The only time I really started feeling those sorts of feelings and discomfort was when I went to university, because I'm now the minority all of a sudden. But I stayed proud, stayed true to myself, and you live and you learn.
Yeah, definitely. Like, so how was that? Because it was, I suppose, not a culture shock, but like a shock in a way, because you felt like, oh no, like the UK is pretty brown, very inclusive, all a different melting pot of people. And then you get to Bournemouth, because when I think of Bournemouth, I do think, it is quite like a white populated place in my head,
Yeah. I think it's funny, like I said, I became the minority, and if I ever saw someone with a turban, I'm like, oh my God, Singh, yo, what's up? Hey, it would be so, oh my God. Even television or restaurants or cafes is just predominantly all white English. It was cool because I made friends with them. They were curious of me, obviously, because, a gentleman with a turban, interesting, okay. And then doing what I do, of course, which we'll get to in just a moment, they were even, furthermore intrigued.
Yes.
And so you kind of instantly break that barrier quickly.
Sure.
And the element of racism just kind of disappears in a way, which is quite nice. But yeah, it was dare I say it, maybe a culture shock, but it's kind of, it was expected. And maybe because of the line of work I did get into, which we're going to get onto in a moment, I guess that helped with my confidence in a way, with just being able to be amongst a new crowd.
Because you constantly have to do that in your work.
That's it. So everyone is the same, essentially. I don't see colour or creed or anything. I just see humans.
Yeah. And that being, like we said, we're going to get onto it in a minute. Yeah. But that being from such a young age, knowing that that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then immediately that comes with, like, you have to have a lot of confidence. You have to deal with a lot of rejection and people being a bit like, not bothered about your tricks and whatever. So being a brown guy in a turban is that light work.
Yeah.
Yeah. With regards to like wearing a turban, so do you think that comes with, have you felt like it comes with certain stereotypes, or people are different with you or have certain assumptions about you because you wear a turban?
See, now going back to being in Hounslow, I wore something called a patka, which is essentially a smaller version of this. Now, I have long hair. I've never cut my hair, so my hair is literally up to my bum.
Yeah.
It's very long. I love it. It's great. And so what I would do is traditionally I'd tie it up into a bun and it would rest up here.
Yeah.
More like in a rounded shape. And I have like this thin square cloth, wrap it around my head. And that's what I just thought was the norm, because all the Sikh boys would be wearing the same as well. And, you know, your hair was all compact so you could play football and all sorts of sports. It was all good, which was brilliant. But then once I started tying the turban, like not exactly how my dad does it, which is interesting because my dad's from north of India. He has a traditional Indian style turban.
Sure.
I wear the Kenyan style turban, which is this one here. And it's because my mum's side of the family from Kenya, and my mum's brother wore a Kenyan style turban.
Right.
And it's tradition that you're supposed to wear what your mum's brother essentially wore.
Oh.
I mean, I did give my dad's style a go, and it didn't quite suit my face.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's so true, actually, because I didn't even think about that. Like, that
Yeah.
there's options and it also what feels right for you, and like your face, like anything, like what you wear on how I might wear my hair. Like, it looks better this way for my face, so I'm going to wear it like that.
And the good thing is my parents weren't strict in that aspect, so they gave me the option. But I remember at the age of 13, it's almost like a bar mitzvah. There was it's a coming of age moment where they did a celebration of me tying my turban, where we went to the Sikh temple, the Gurdwara, and my mum's brother, he would tie the turban for the very first time, and it was all ceremonial. It was beautiful. It was really nicely done, and from there, you're supposed to wear it every day. I never did because I found it so difficult, because it's an art in itself.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to tie, and you know, there's such thing as a bad turban day,
Yeah.
and I was having many of those, many of those.
Bad turban. I love it. It's great.
And another, so I know I'm going quite in depth about the
No,
whole
because
turban.
I'm so interested. I've not had anyone on the show who's been able to talk to me about a turban.
Sure.
Aside from Pavan, who spoke about like how beautiful it was to watch her dad tie it,
Sure,
and now
yeah.
watching you tie it, and like that's such a lovely connection for her to make. But
Yeah.
that's literally the only like conversation I've had ever. So I'm really
Got
interested.
it. Oh,
Please
okay.
continue.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So my dad, when he ties his turban, he puts starch onto it. So, and he has a different way completely to tie it, prepare it even. So I remember every so often I'd be there in the garden, he's got the starch on it, and we'd be tugging it. It was almost like tug of war. We're pulling it to tighten it up, and then he would fold it in a really strange, in like a Z-shaped fold. And then he'd be there in the mirror tying it all up, and then he'd have to leave the turban on his head for at least a few hours. And because he had to let the starch settle into the turban and create this shape, this oval-like shape.
Right.
I thought, wow, man, that's such a chore almost, thinking being a young kid, watching him do that. But it was amazing seeing it. Then he would get the iron and he would iron it out. I'm like, that's a bit risky, innit? But
Wow.
he had this
Iron his head?
iron the turban, literally. Yeah,
Iron the turban whilst it's on his head?
I know, it's crazy.
No.
And that would apparently shape it up all neatly, and then eventually he could take it off like a hat. It would be solidified. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And whereas the turban I'm wearing, I can't do that because it's all flimsy, right? There's no starch whatsoever. So I tie it fresh every time I put it on.
So because it looks to me like it's just made like that.
Oh, okay.
It's neat.
Oh, thank you.
The lines and
That's the
everything.
years of practice.
So you do that every day?
Not every day. So when I choose to wear it,
Sure.
I will basically in the front of the mirror, and then I'll carefully do it accordingly how you can see. I mean, you can't see, but it'll just be the years of practice I've had to tie it accordingly. And I mean, like I said, there are bad turban days, and that usually occurs once you've put on a new fresh turban, completely fresh washed, because you've got to really condition the material in. It's got to settle in. I know there's an art to it in itself.
There's an art. I love that bad turban days.
I even made a YouTube video on how I do it. And, because people were intrigued, saying, "How do you do this?" And please make a YouTube video on this. And I've done it. It's online now, so if you want to watch it,
it's so interesting as well. Like that, the different shapes and stuff like that. Why is it that you wear the turban that your mum's brother wears and not your dad?
Again, I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm
It's
not
just
too
how
sure.
it is.
I think it's just traditionally always been like that. Why, I don't know. But again, like I said, they weren't strict. They were very flexible. They were like, you got the option essentially. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I gave both a go. And this was easier, number one, to do firstly, and I just got the hang of this style turbans, and I just stuck with it, and I'm happy with it.
And do you ever go out without it, or is that no go?
See, at first I used to think, you can't go without it, and I feel shy not going, with my turban or whatever. But then as I went into university, and that's the thing, actually, at university I'd wear it every day, because I know I'm obviously going to uni. I've got to be presentable. I didn't think I was allowed to. There was a part of me just thought, maybe I'm not allowed to. But again, that's probably due to the education, I guess, or how my parents raised me. I'm not blaming them or anything like that. I'm just thinking maybe it's just I just assumed because I saw my dad wear it every single day that I have to wear it every single day. I mean, I don't regret it at all. I'm so grateful that I did, because everyone got to see me for who I am and my identity. You know, I stood out, and it worked in my favor, which is great. But to answer your question, nowadays I'm just very laid back about it. So if I'm just going to pop to the shops or go out with friends or something, if it's not so formal, I'll put my hair into a bun at the back, or put a bandana on, put a beanie hat or something on, and just be pretty much laid back about it. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know the answer to this, but for people that don't know, the reasoning behind like not cutting your hair, like, is it for religious reasons, cultural reasons? I actually don't even think I know the answer to this, which is quite bad.
So you can go quite in depth into this. Now, I have to state this, no offense to anyone or anything like that. I'm not such a religious person. I mean, I know I wear the turban. But
yeah, because that's like going back to the stereotype thing, a preconception that, oh, this person's wearing a turban, so they must be super religious.
Yeah. I didn't even answer that question. I'm so sorry, because I know I went off one about
it's
the turban.
fine.
But you're right. I'll come back to that for sure, without a doubt. But you're right. In regards to wearing the turban, you know, there could be a certain perception of this must be a serious person or a religious person. But I've never seen it like that. I mean, I trim my beard, that's the thing. And in Sikhism, if you're fully baptized, you're not supposed to trim your beard,
right?
As it is, you're not supposed to cut your hair at all whatsoever. Again, my parents weren't so strict, so they didn't impose that, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. So I remember when I was in 16 and my beard was becoming a bit fluffy all of a sudden, and I didn't like it. I just it just looks horrible. And of course, when you're 16, 17 going to college, you get conscious, you know, you want to look cool, you don't want to be like the ugly duckling sort of thing, and you know, what do people think of me? So I asked my dad, I go, can I trim it down? And I remember my dad, he actually did it for me. He laid like this newspaper down, and I was cross-legged, and he had these scissors, and he was carefully trimming it, and he goes, have a look now. I'm like, oh yeah, that's better. That's much better. And the funny thing is, I've always kind of kept this shape, because when my beard started to grow, I had the moustache like this. And then had this little triangular bit here. That's how it was growing, and I just kind of thought, right, I'm just going to keep it like that.
I mean, it's quite impressive that that's just how it's grown. Like, I always think this about men's beards, like that they just like form this shape.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Like, how has this happened?
Honestly, it was like this, like almost like V for Vendetta. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie. It was a bit like The Mask. It was like that, and then just this triangular bit here. But then slowly, the hand. Sorry, I'm bashing the mic. Slowly, the handlebars appeared, and then this bit appeared, and that appeared, and then all this started to come along. But now it's just a point of just trimming this part, just to kind of keep.
You've got your look.
There's the look I'm going to stick with.
Great eyebrows.
You know what? It's only ever ladies that spot my eyebrows.
They are so good. I'm like, I've been looking at them for like a little bit now. Like, when's the right time to mention this?
So, Pav and sisters, they're all experienced in the beauty world, right? So I get spoiled. You know, I'm like a project to them.
Yeah.
So they go, right. I remember I used to have like a side brow, the single brow almost.
Yeah.
You go, right, we're going to do your eyebrows. And mine were quite bushy at the time. Go, right, we're going to neaten this out. We're going to neaten this all out. I go, just do your thing. And it was painful because they're using this threading thing. And then I was like, wow, look at my face.
Look at my face.
It looks like so much more cleaner now.
I'm sure I've seen Puvan doing like skincare routines on you as well on social media.
She has, yeah. She's roped me into that too.
Like, all right,
because it worked. And people are fascinated by that as well. Yeah. That's crazy. So I have this thing where I'll get my eyebrows done now. And even if I see something appearing here, I'll even get tweezers and take them out and neaten everything out.
You're invested in this.
I proper am. And even like waxing my fingertips as well now, getting all that done. And yeah, my sister-in-law, she's got an incredible laser machine where they do get all the, you know, laser hair removal.
Yeah.
So I've done that on my hands. I've even done it on these bits here because these come back quite quickly. And
look at you with all of
I know,
the
I'm spoiled.
regime.
I'm absolutely spoiled with all the creams. All right, Magic, try it. Oh, just gave my name away. And cut. I'm joking. No, that's fine. And they would try all these different creams. Do this on your face, and yeah.
You're spoiled,
I'm
basically,
spoiled with
all the girlies.
All the girlies, yeah, big time.
So going back to, we spoke, you sort of mentioned the term South Asian before, and this is an interesting one, right? Because I remember when I first told my dad about it, I was like, people are saying South Asian because it's just a way to be able to group everyone all together without being like, this person's Indian, Pakistani, Sikh, Punjabi. And he was like, oh, I like that. He's like, I think it's quite good, because I was thinking about my podcast, how am I going to I can't call it Indian overground because I'm not only interviewing Indian people. I can't call it, all of these different things.
Sure.
But some people feel funny about the term. Like my cousin sent me this, like was like cussing me out the other day. It was like South Asian, like what even is that, blah blah blah. And I was like, relax. But what's your understanding of it, and what's your experience with like first hearing the word?
I think maybe it wasn't that long ago, maybe 5 years, 7 years, I would
it
say.
It feels pretty fresh.
Yeah, and it's really championed now more than anything. And I've now got to understand, like you said, it's an umbrella that covers everyone, essentially. Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, you name it. All the other, there's so many other parts of India with different types of people from different backgrounds, and it essentially covers all those people. And it's nice to know that you've got these. Well, I'm coming from a creative standpoint where you've got people from the acting side, the magic world, the theatre side of things, and you see these upcoming South Asian actors who are doing incredibly well. Again, they could be, whatever religious background, but South Asian is a lovely way to kind of describe it, and it's become far more commercial and mainstream, if you like. And I don't see it as a bad thing whatsoever. I mean, for me personally, I don't put any importance on it, because to me, I'm just who I am. I'm Magic Singh. I just do what I love doing, sort of thing. But yeah, being South Asian, because it's been put in such a positive light, I think that's what's so nice about it. And the fact that I can be a part of the movement, dare I say, of representing South Asians in the UK, firstly, and doing well and inspiring the next generation of South Asians to do well. It's nice to be at the forefront of it. So, because you got different cultures, and I'm going to say this now, maybe this is more Sikhs. I feel that the Sikhs don't really champion each other. I know it sounds a bit controversial. I've heard this a few times from other people as well. I've seen it and I've witnessed it as well.
Right, okay.
I'm not bitter or anything about it. I've just experienced it. I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. Whereas you've got other cultures, and I've seen how heavily they champion each other. I've seen Muslim brothers and sisters who massively champion each other. Got the black community who massively champion each other. And it's just, I feel there's not been enough on the Sikh side. I'm not too sure about the Hindus. But yeah, when it comes to us guys, I guess when you put the term South Asian, you're now kind of paintbrushing everyone. But it also feels kind of empowering in a way when you hear that. So when you think, oh yeah, you got a Sikh brother, South Asian brother doing really well, you're going to naturally want to champion them. So I'm hoping now, because there's so many more of us doing well in the industry, you're going to want to champion them. So.
Yeah, and you know what? I think for so long, South Asians were so divided, especially after partition and in the lead up to that. So now having a term which engulfs everyone and sort of brings everyone back together to support each other is like a really, really nice thing.
Definitely. It's a stronger force, isn't it? Rather than individual groups. It's just, there's something to represent all of us. The brown skin, essentially, to go out there and put a mark in the world and, bring some positivity, because there's so many talented Asian or South Asians out there, and it's just so nice to see now that you're seeing that more often. So yeah, let's get more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I find it very interesting what you said about Sikhs, like you feel maybe don't champion each other as much. Like what do you mean by that? Like what does that look like, and why do you think that is?
I feel everyone, they're very much concerned about themselves, and we've got mass amounts of successful Sikh men and women in different sectors, whether it's in the creative or the business, in the financial, they're all there. Yeah. But I just feel, and I've witnessed this, when you come across someone who's a successful person or successful Sikh, it's almost like there can't be another one there in the same sort of area or the same sort of field.
Got it.
There can only be one. I've worked so hard to get here. What are you doing here? This is my territory almost. Sure. And it's almost as silly as that. And I didn't want to believe that, but until you experience these things, then you realize, okay, it's very apparent. It happens.
Yeah. And I think like with going back to the South Asian term and things like you said, we're all championing each other, supporting each other. I guess we'll encourage maybe like Sikh people to do the same with each other as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is starting to change now because thanks to social media, you're seeing more successful Sikhs or Asians or South Asians, and you just want to be like them essentially. And people like myself and yourself and many others, we're setting a bar to a level, and we're setting an example where they want to do as great as us, and just make not just themselves proud, but the community proud, I guess, as well. I think it's definitely going to change. And I think the younger generation, the Gen Z crowd, and all the ones below, the newer ones, what they call it, Gen Alphas or something. I think so.
You've got another name for always.
One for the Google. But I think their mindset is completely different. For them, it's about, let's just go out there and smash it and support whoever we can, sort of thing.
Absolutely. Also, I just remembered something. So me and my dad went to India like 2 Novembers ago to kind of go back to where like our family is from and stuff. And we went to like a lot of like museums and places like that, especially like homes of like Maharajas or ex-Maharajas. And someone said this phrase, and I might say it wrong. They were like, all Sikhs are Singhs, but not all Singhs are Sikhs.
Wow, I've not heard that one before.
So it was like because a lot of people think if your surname is Singh, it means you're a Sikh, but it doesn't. But often if you're a Sikh, you are a Singh.
That's interesting.
Mind blowing.
I like that. I've never heard that one before.
I just thought I would bring it, say it because I just remembered it now.
Wow, I'm gonna spread the word and see what that means, and
see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens exactly.
You heard it here first,
That's
people.
it, right here.
So I want to move into the magic side of things.
Sure.
First question though, you got into magic when you were a wee kipper, when you were 11.
A wee little boy.
How were your parents and your family about that? Because it's something I find very interesting talking about on the podcast. There's a lot of creatives that come on this podcast, and naturally in South Asian culture, people aren't so down for families aren't so down for that. They more like want you to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. So how is that for you?
Yeah, that's
especially as a male.
Yeah. It's the ultimate question I get all the time. What did your parents think?
Yeah.
Now, I was 11 when I first started, and like any young boy into various different things, I found this fascination for magic. And I started learning magic from these magic sets I'd get for Christmas from my parents.
Oh, so they started it off.
Yeah, well, I asked them. I remember seeing on TV and I was like, that is so cool. It was on QVC, actually. Are they still running?
The shopping channel. It still exists.
And they were selling these magic sets, like incredible magic sets. And I was like, oh, I want that. So then mum and dad got me the set. And I remember practicing it, learning all the moves and showing my friends, showing my family. The reaction I got from them was amazing, and it was just so fun. Everyone was having fun with me doing the magic. It was just a hobby. It was just something I picked up and I really started to enjoy it. And I'd go to the school libraries and find magic books and start learning more tricks.
So cool.
And because all my schoolmates, they were loving it. It was so cool. They were like, I was like the cool kid all of a sudden, because I've always been an introvert kid.
Right.
Very shy, just nervous from talking to people and things like that. But I just found learning the magic really got me out of my shell and just made me far more confident to be able to speak to people. So anyway, every birthdays and Christmases, I'd get a new magic trick, a new magic set, and I'd learn it, practice it, show them off to my friends. And it was so fun. I was hooked. And I remember a year and a half later, I saw David Blaine on TV for the first time. And I thought, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be like him. And since then I was hooked. I was learning more magic by finding these books. And again, more family members would buy me more magic tricks, and I would, go to Toys R Us or whatever. Oh, I like this trick, and legendary shop.
Legendary
I love
shop.
it. Oh my God.
Toys R Us. Wow! What a dream to be in there.
Oh, that was the best. I remember there was this competition once where you could have 1 minute to take a trolley, and you could just take any toy you want.
No way.
And I would dream about being able to win something like that.
That's so fun.
It never happened, sadly, but.
So your family then were like quite invested in it from the start with you?
Yeah, because I was only 11. I was starting junior school. No, secondary school.
I don't know what it is.
Secondary school. Yeah. Age 11. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, year 7. And it was just a hobby. I was just doing something on the side. Mum and dad were like, he's going to school. He's doing secondary school. He's doing his thing. It's fine, whatever. It's just he's doing that on the side.
Yeah.
And it was always that. There was nothing more to it. And I remember choosing my subjects at school, choosing drama and theatre studies, psychology, and all these different things, because I knew that would definitely help with my performance and public speaking and understanding the audience and understand what they're thinking, how they're thinking, the behavioral patterns and all these things. Because after all these years, I've only discovered that the magic was always secondary. The first thing is always the performance, how you deliver it, how you make them laugh and whatever it is, and how you distract them to look at this or look at that down there. and then the magic comes in afterwards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this all comes through experience, and that's with anything in life.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
but yeah, so I was doing it throughout school, and I became really popular. And of course, because I wore the patka at the time at school, I didn't have my turban at the time. Anyone with a patka or a turban, you're referred to as Singh automatically, because you're Sikh, you're in a turban, patka,
Sikh Singh.
you're a Singh. So even if they don't know your name, yo, Singh, what's up? It's always one of those moments. Singh, kidna, all those sorts of things. It'll be like that. And because I was on the concourse or the playground doing magic tricks, I was, oh, look, there's that magic Singh guy. There's that magic Singh guy. So all the sixth formers would be like going around getting excited.
Magic Singh.
Yo, Magic Singh, show me your trick. And it was like that. And the name just spread very quickly. So I don't know who it was, but everyone loved that name. And then just all of a sudden they started calling me Magic Singh or just Magic. And I thought, this is cool. And then just kept the name, and then eventually I got it trademarked and protected all that afterwards, all the legal stuff later on.
Sorted.
When I didn't understand any of all that stuff, I was just having fun with it all. And went off to university then, to Bournemouth University to study film and television production, because I've always had a love for filmmaking. And that's when all the gigs started coming in.
Yeah.
All these bookings for private parties and street festival events. And they were paying like a few £100s. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is amazing. While I'm at uni, I'm making some money and traveling around the country to places I've never heard of. And it was brilliant. And then I built a lot of confidence and performance skill sets from that. But my main objective with the university degree was to get a degree, because that's what I thought you had to do. Oh, you've done your college, you've done your A-levels. Now you've got to get a degree. And because that's how the tradition is. I was almost like winging it in a way. Parents were like, look, as long as you're just doing your studies, whatever, great. So again, I chose film and television because I wanted to make my own TV special, if you like.
Yeah.
And I did that. So no one had ever done that before. I made my own street magic show, and I got my degree with it, and I had a product in hand.
Oh, that's so cool. So you basically used your, like, at the time, hobby in magic and incorporated it into your degree, what you're already doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was probably a big thing of like showing your parents, look, this can really be a career. Because I think a lot of South Asians, once they're actually able to show their parents and their elders, I can do something with this, then it's starting to get believed, and they're like, okay, carry on.
And it was exactly like that, Talina. Honestly, every day they'll be like, are you sure this is what you want to do? So I'm now back home from Bournemouth, and I've got a wealth of contacts along the way, and I was still getting bookings. And then I thought, let me just tap into the Indian wedding market, because you hear about it all the time. And I remember doing one thing for Asiana years ago when I just graduated, and oh my god, it was madness. I mean, I gave out my business cards, which I'd like made on the spot. I was just doing my magic as per usual, whatever. And then there was so much interest because no one had ever done it before. And there was no such thing as having a magician going around entertaining the guests at the wedding, especially the Indian wedding market. And there was that going on. But then straight after that, I used a show reel to pitch to some of the agents I'd heard about. And I remember the first big gig I got was out in Dubai for 1 month.
Sick.
It was such a wicked moment. So it was me and two other magicians. We were flown out to Dubai, and I remember we arrived to the hotel, the Kempinski Hotel, and we sat down there with the agent, the booker, and he goes, hey guys, this is what you got to do. You're performing 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and for 2 hours, sometimes 1 hour, and then that's it. Then the rest of the time you can just chill, do what you want. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And we're getting paid for it. They've flown us out and everything. He goes, come on, then let's take you to your where you're going to be staying. So we're walking out, and he goes, no, guys, this way. I'm trying to exit almost the hotel. He goes, no, this way. I'm like, whoa, we're in the hotel. What? And he goes, all right, just press your button. He goes, just press that. And it said pool executive suites. I thought, shut up.
No.
Yep. Come to it as pool executive suites. I'm like, what? He goes, all right, Magic, that's yours. Dan, that's yours. Sean, that's yours. Honestly, Talina, man, I couldn't believe it. This was our home for 1 month. This incredible room. I mean, Dubai is luxurious no matter where you go. And then the back door opens up to this beautiful promenade with this heated pool and a cool pool and a bar. It was just magic. It was so cool.
And like that moment where you're just like, oh my God. I'm doing this. I've made it. I'm being paid to do this and stay in this amazing hotel and do what I love.
So, do you believe me now, Mum and Dad?
Do you believe it? But what I find so interesting about your story is that you were not a very confident kid. and that the magic helped you with that. Because I always think this about magicians, like you have to have a lot of confidence, and you also have to have resilience, because people are going to be a bit like, might say something about your jokes, or might like try and trip you up or whatever, and some people just aren't receptive to it at all.
You know, again, that's something you have to learn throughout your experience of performing, because you're going to have hecklers, like comedians get hecklers. Oh, I can see what you're doing. Oh, I saw that. So I'd be devastated when they see how the trick was done. I was like, oh, now what? So then you learn along the way how to control in such a way that they won't say anything, and it's all about audience management.
Yeah.
Again, the magic is secondary. The performance and the 100%. Control of the audience comes first. How to make them laugh, how to disarm them. You know, you could have a good-looking girl with her partner, whether it's a boyfriend or husband. You know, if I start doing magic, all of a sudden she's so invested, she's like really like hooked. He feels left out. How do I disarm him now? So I then get him involved in the trick as well. So he looks amazing, and then all of a sudden they're on your side. And all these little tips and tricks I'd learned throughout the years.
How do you learn that? Just by doing, or by
It's experience. It really is, because you'd see something happen often. I'm like, why is that not happening? Why are they being like this to me? Let me try this time. This might work. And it was the same with the tricks. The trick went wrong. Oh, why weren't they amazed by it? Let me try it this way this time. It's literally trial and error all the time.
What made you, I guess, not want to quit? Because I guess there would have probably, I mean, maybe not, but in my head, I'm like, there's probably a point where, you know, you're still learning to be really good at this, and there's a lot of like rejection that comes with that, and you need people to be able to do the tricks. And if they're not being receptive, if the tricks aren't working, you probably feel quite disheartened. And I know you were saying part of the reason you loved it is because of the reaction you were getting. But when you weren't getting that reaction, what was then making you be like, I still really love this, I still want to do this, especially as like a shy kid?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I'd perform, I'd make sure the magic is down to a T. I'd make sure it's perfected as best as it could be. Even when there was no reaction or... Wow, well done. That was great. Oh my God, freaking out, which I preferred, obviously. It was still, I was understanding that people. That's what I was learning. Okay, not everyone's going to react like going crazy. I mean, I'd love that every single time, but you got to understand everyone's got different personalities, and people they're always conscious about how they feel and look in front of other people, which I've also learned along the way. So you won't get all those reactions, but I didn't mind. It was just for me, I was about, I want to show you something cool. Check this out. I'm going to learn something else. I'm going to show you another thing next time. My mind's always been about that. Keep learning, and show you some new stuff every single time. That's where my mind was at. And when people weren't reacting, like I said, it wasn't all the time. It was very rare. But most times they would just play along and have fun. And I think this is another thing I've mentioned, why I probably have an advantage over most magicians is because of my look.
Yes.
So especially in a corporate environment, white English males mostly, predominantly, just in, you know, getting drunk, eating their meals, whatever it is, I have to go into a crowd. I have to go to their table and interrupt their conversation. Guy in a turban, like, whoa, what's that all about? So again, it was trial and error. I'd just go in, good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Magic Singh. Because I've got this turban, I've got this look, and I'd also make sure I look sharp as possible. Wearing a blazer, looking, you know, nice tux, whatever. Just looking dapper. And immediately that gets people's attention. Like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he speaks English. Wow, because that's the first thing, you know, you see, it's the stereotype. You think, oh, hey, Indian guy, is he coming to take our order? You know, it could be... Right. They could assume that immediately. So number one, the way I look, I make sure I don't look like a waiter, firstly. I'll make sure I look like a classy magician. And then the moment I speak, bang, I've got their attention. I'd even do like a little flair of maybe producing like a fire or something like that. People are like, whoa, what the hell was that? And now I've got your attention.
Absolutely.
So I'd find all these little tips and tricks and psychological tactics to help me not get disregarded and ignored or anything like that. There'll be times where people are just not interested. They're just completely in-depth of conversation. Whereas then I'll just then target sections of a group and say, hey guys, want to see some magic or whatever? I'm the magician tonight. They're like, yeah, cool. Let me see something. And then the moment you start with the people here, oh my God, that's amazing. Then all of a sudden now I've got their attention. Now they're watching. And, you know, again, it's back to trial and error. You know, I would never give up. I'd always just want to entertain and amuse. and just having that mindset of this is going to blow your mind. You're going to love what I show you. Trust me on this. And that was it.
Backing yourself, like having that mindset, like trust me.
Yeah.
This is going to be amazing.
You're
like,
going to remember this for the rest of your life.
Exactly. And I think, you know, the thing people love about magic is people want to be amazed. People want to be like, what the hell? What was that? And thinking about it for ages. Like, people want that.
Definitely. I mean, I know magic has and still does have this stigma of being cheesy and gimmicky and whatever.
Yeah.
It still has that. And I only had this a couple of weeks ago. A group of people says, listen, magic is normally quite cheesy, but the way you do it is just really cool. Like, I'm slightly scared of what you've done. I'm like, oh, thanks. That's good to know. And it's funny to know that is still there today.
Yeah.
But I see it sometimes. I see the type of magicians who are still out there trying to be like, hey, look at me, like almost like a jester, like a clown almost.
Yeah. Why do you think that magic has that sort of stereotype of being cheesy?
I think it's probably from the last generation of the days of the Paul Daniels and what you would see like the Vegas magicians doing. Or you know, they're very closely related to comedians and jugglers of a certain time of the way they presented themselves. It's almost seen as cheap and clown-like. No disrespect to those who do the clown work, whatever, but it's just almost not frowned upon. They're just like, oh, it's something for the kids. Gone, just show the kids something.
Yeah,
as well.
for kids as opposed to adults. That's so true.
I mean, I'll get this now. He goes, oh yeah, you'd be great for these kids and stuff. Until they see what I do, they're like, oh no, this ain't for children. This is clearly for the grown-ups.
This is adult stuff.
This is adults. This is the good stuff. So again, I'm doing my best to break the barriers of making people understand, like the magic I do, especially my brand of magic, it's like this. It's not my mission or anything to say, hey, magic is the coolest thing ever. Every magician is great. I mean, that's their job. My job is just to make sure I'm doing a great job.
What you're doing.
And I guess that has a ripple effect to make people assume that the next magician I see will probably be as cool as him, or if not half as cool as him. And that's enough, I guess. And I think that's what Dynamo did, actually. So he had a really positive impact with his TV show because, of course, on television, everyone saw it, and then he made magic cool, as well as David Blaine.
Yes,
they made magic cool again.
right.
So they changed the style, going from stage with a glamorous assistant, cutting them in half, all that, to going to the streets with just a shirt and, T-shirt and jeans, doing card tricks on people.
Just mad
just
stuff.
Raw magic, just to the point. And that was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I love the fact that I can do that now and have that same impact.
And I think it's exactly that. You're changing the way people see magic, because also you do look different.
Yeah.
And you maybe, like you said, people initially will be like, oh, a brown man in a turban, he's a waiter.
Yeah.
Like, which is just nuts, to be honest.
Yeah,
But that's the situation. But you're changing that.
Absolutely.
Day by day. What you're doing by pure talent. Like, you can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Like,
and especially with social media now, I love the fact that, touchwood, there isn't or aren't any comments about my turban anymore now, especially even with the Gen Z or the Gen Alphas.
Anymore?
No, because I'd say previously when I was first getting to social media, I would have comments about my turban, especially when it was closer to the times of 9/11. The turban was seen as something, as a negative, of course, and oh, he's a terrorist and this, that, the other. I'd have horrible things said now and then. Only online, not to my face, thankfully. I mean, the odd racial slur, here and there back in the days. But now I say you hardly see it or hear it as much. It's still there. It's still there. But I don't know. I just think the world is probably more educated because of what they see online.
Yeah.
You see so many different parts of the world, so many different people doing different things because of social media. It's made the world so much more smaller and just far more educated, dare I say it, I guess. Yeah,
people are just like, more open now and more like not even understanding, that's not the word, but more just like everyone's a human being, and it doesn't matter if you wear a turban or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost seen like it's a cool thing now. It's like a fashionable thing, which is quite nice. And there's been some really fantastic guys in the Sikh community who have created Instagram pages for trendy looking Sikhs and wearing like fashionable garms and rocking different colors of turban with their outfits. And it's just so cool. And I love it. And we'll see more of that, hopefully.
Do you ever use your turban for magic tricks?
I've always thought about it, but I just can't find anything. I just think it's my identity. That's the first thing they see, and that's
Yeah.
it, and nothing else. I mean, I made the old joke about look, I can make a rabbit appear from my turban, but I thought, no, let's not do that because
feel
it
like
might.
keeping it separate probably keeps it like sacred in a way. so
Yeah,
that
because
you're-
for me, because it's my identity, I see it as my crown. But I also see it as like, you know, the traditional magician who would wear the top hat and bow tie.
Yes.
It's almost like a nod to that, essentially, of this is my top hat, but it's now this is my turban, this is my crown, and this is who I am, and I'm a Singh. I'm a Singh who does magic.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it just commands that respect, if anything. So
Absolutely.
I just thought, no, I'm not going to take the mick out of you or anything like that. I'm just going
No.
to just
Yeah, I hear that. I
or
hear
put
that.
it in a kind of in a jokey situation. I think that's happened more so as I've got older.
Yeah.
Rather, I've just realised the respect it needs and it should have. So.
Absolutely. Respect. I think that's like such an
Yeah.
important word. It doesn't need to be involved in your tricks and let people assume that if they want to. But
it's funny because I have lots of magic mates who create magic tricks for myself and many other magicians, and they would always think, could you hide a coin? Could you do this? Could you do all this stuff with it? And I would have them look at it. I go, what do you think? And I mean, I would not let them touch it, but they would be intrigued at the same time. But it just didn't work out. And I just thought, no, I don't want my hands to be like touching or anything like that. All the magic should be here. And it just didn't work out.
also, I think it's quite blooming cool how some people's job is to create magic tricks.
Yeah, they're like songwriters.
And and all these little gadgets and gizmos and everything.
Honestly,
that you have. It's so mad.
There's a magic convention that's hosted every year in February in Blackpool, good old Blackpool, and you get almost 4,000 magicians from all over the world congregate in Blackpool. It's bigger than the one that happens in Vegas. And they're all there sharing new ideas, new tricks, new everything, and it's amazing. And some of the things you see, the gadgets essentially, they're so cool that I feel sometimes they're better than the actual trick itself.
Yeah, the gadget.
I'm like, that's a cool trick, but check out, see how it's done.
Yeah. Totally.
It's fun.
Few more things to touch on before
Sure.
we get into a little fun section. Not that this is not fun. This is very fun. The magic circle. Can you please explain, like, what is it? And like, how do you get into it? Because you're in the magic circle, right?
I am.
And it's just, I'm always like, oh my God, like, the magic circle. What's that?
It's so funny you're saying that. Literally just yesterday I was at a gig and someone pulled me over and goes, Sing, listen. What's this circle thing, this magic circle thing? Is it like is it all secret? I go, no. It's just so funny because it was almost like he was scared to ask me. Is it a real thing?
It feels like that in my head. I'm like, I see this dark castle with this big black circle going around it, and I'm like, oh my God, the magic circle,
With
magic
these
circle.
Strange practices going on.
Yeah.
After midnight. No, it's
Literally.
nothing like that. So the Magic Circle is a members club for magicians, which is based in London and is a gorgeous venue in Euston, which is about 4 or 5 floors, and it's got a full-on theatre in there. They got a library downstairs. They got like a gallery of all the legendary magic props from Tommy Cooper, David Blaine, Paul Daniels, all of these things in a little museum. And what it is, every Monday night, all the magicians get together who are members, get together and then jam in ideas. They'll have a lecture from magicians from all over the world. And teaching you new tricks and ideas. Sometimes you'll have examinations of those who are trying to become members. There'll be competitions. There'll be all sorts of different events. And it's a wonderful thing how it was when I first joined and then how it's become now. It's far more youthful now and not so strict, because once upon a time it was very much like a gentleman's club in the sense you have to wear your suit and tie, smart shoes, you go in, which is a lovely practice and a lovely discipline. But I just think the way things have changed, how magicians are now not just in tuxedos now and top hats, it's now a street vibe. It's all about what the latest fashion trends are. So they welcome that. So you can, I could go in like this, which is fine. So it's nice to see that. So I remember one of the teachers at school, she was the most feared teacher at school.
Yeah.
And she was on lunch duty, and I remember I got to the front and I was right there and she was in front of me and she goes, so young man, have you joined the Magic Circle yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't. She goes, why not? I'm like, oh, I've never thought about it. She goes, well, if you're doing this kind of magic, you need to be a member of the Magic Circle. And I was 15 at the time, and you have to be 18 to be a member of the Magic Circle. And then I'll look into it, miss, definitely, and I'll report back to you. So then I started researching it on the dial-up internet, as it was. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And there was a initiative called the Young Magicians Club or the Young Magicians Circle. And for that, you just had to send, I think it was £20, I remember, and I filled a form in, submitted it. and instantly I became a member of the Young Magicians Club.
Cool.
So it was separate from the Magic Circle, but it was within the Magic Circle headquarters. So I'd attend a few of the it was the lectures and the events, and it was just so fascinating meeting other magicians and seeing how things were done, and the thinking behind these people and how creative they were. And then I remember when I turned 18, when I was at university, and I thought, right, I need to go for it now. Let's do this properly. So I remember I had to have my full-on in an interview first. Then it was an examination. An examination is basically a performance to all magicians, and then they judge you accordingly. So it's not about trying to fool them like how you do with Penn and Teller now. It was more so about how you perform, your delivery, your execution, your pattern, all these things.
It's not about like, can you convince them of this trick, because they probably know everything anyway. It's more about how you are. Oh my God, so you have an interview and an audition.
Yeah, it was all that stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. And also what I think is interesting is you're saying like meeting up on the Monday and sharing tricks and like riffing with each other and whatever. Yeah. So are people quite open to like borrowing each other's ideas and sharing?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned the magician creators or the magic creators. A lot of them will sell tricks, ideas, books, pamphlets.
Right.
The gadget or gimmick, whatever is required, they'll sell them at a certain price, which we magicians can then use to incorporate into our shows. But then other things they've just learnt sleight of hand, things like that, they'll just share it openly, which is quite nice. But then you've got, with any industry, you've got cliques. Everyone's going to have a little thing of, no, I'm not telling you that, or I'm going to keep that to myself, or they'll have a certain way of saying, no, I'm not going to show you that. But it's interesting how the magic world works.
Yeah.
But, you do get to meet some really cool magicians and share some wicked ideas. I mean, because of the name I've made now with social media, they get excited. They give me stuff. So
that's great.
Please perform this for me or do this for me. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because some of these things can be really expensive. Believe it or not, they are. I mean, I can't say anything what it is, why it is, but it can get really expensive. But yeah, you just have to invest into your shows and it's great fun. I love it.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
So final thing I want to ask you on the magic note is sort of like, this is a bit of a weird question, but do your like close friends and family ever feel a bit like, oh, we can't trust him, like because like he's like manipulating us psychologically? Because you were saying like you have to know the psychology of a person, how they're going to react, and like with your wife and with your like family and friends, are they like, oh, magic? I think I actually said that to Pavan as a joke when I first met her, and she told me that you're a magician. I was like, can you trust this guy?
Honestly, when it's people we don't know, or friends or cousins, not even family, sorry, but also friends who have just joined us or met us for the first time, they're usually intrigued or excited to be around. And oh my God, it's Magic Singh, or oh my God, he's a magician. They're always excited more than anything. But when it comes to family and friends that I know, they don't care. Because I'm always there testing new tricks out. Oh, Amadee, that was rubbish. No, don't do that. I mean, same with Pavan. When I'm trying new things out, I go, how's this? She goes, oh, that's terrible. I can see how you're doing that.
Yeah.
So everyone's so honest with me, which is great, because I need that, because then I can go back to the drawing board and practice it again and then show my friends how it would be. But honestly, on the levels, because I have this, I don't know if you want to call it a persona as I am right now. This is me as I am. I'm not putting anything on. But honestly, when I'm not in the public or whatever, I'm just goofy and silly with everyone and just me.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't take it seriously. And even when I'm performing, I'll be silly sometimes, because it was funny, because I'd always try to be this perfect, elegant person, and I'm perfect, I'm this, I'm that. Then I was like, nah, just be me.
Yeah, absolutely.
People love that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just being me. And they love that. It's just, I can have a laugh with them and be silly and make them giggle. And you mentioned about the comedy thing earlier on. I never realised how important comedy was with the magic, because you really disarm them. It's a form of misdirection in a way. It helps.
But you really have to have an understanding of the mind and psychology, really, to be a magician, don't you?
It does, because you're multitasking constly, right?
Yes.
So who's watching from what angle? Who's got their phones out? Who's filming a certain angle of a certain thing? I'm constantly thinking. And, I've got to misdirect everyone, as well as the cameras that are filming as well now. So you're constantly thinking all the time. And if something goes wrong, which it has many times, things do go wrong. I'll get the wrong card, or I'll drop something, or something just doesn't work, you have to have a backup plan.
And be on the thinking
Improvise on the spot.
Improvising, yeah.
And that's the way you get out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I literally could talk to you for so long, but I'm like conscious of the fact that I'm like, okay, right. So final little section is questions that I always ask everyone at the end.
Okay.
So first things is, what is one thing people wouldn't expect about you because you're South Asian? Like a little like, oh my God, you do that and you're South Asian?
Here's one thing. So Sikhs are known for being drinkers.
Right.
I have never touched alcohol in my life,
In your
ever.
life?
Never. It's nothing to do with religion whatsoever. It's just...
You're not into it?
Just not into it.
I didn't know that Sikhs were known for being drinkers.
Oh, yeah, man. You go to an Indian Sikh wedding, my God, the whiskey's languid.
And then the other question is like, I never ask anyone what if they want to have kids, how they feel about that, but more that if you were to pass something down to, like, say you were to have kids or to the next generation, like from your culture, what would it be?
A couple of if it's passing it down, it's just about being kind to others. Mm-hmm. It's probably you've probably heard it. It's a cliche, but honestly, just be kind to others.
Yeah.
No matter who they are, where they're from, what age they are, just being kind and making them smile.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with a magic trick, but just be kind and make people smile.
Well, if you can do it with a magic trick, then that would be good.
I think that's probably the most important thing, is being kind to others.
That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, because it works. Just saying nice things. You could I say anyone, most people, or when I'm out and about and on my own, for example, with Pavan, we're being served by a waiter or waitress, you can see on their face whether they're having a good day or not. And it's also about just making a micro bit of conversation, like, hey, how you doing? You okay? You having a good day? Da, da, da. Just make him laugh a little bit. It changes their day all of a sudden.
And you two are really nice. You're really
we
nice.
do our
people.
best.
You are really nice people.
My wife's even better.
It's true. Oh, you guys.
I learned from her.
Okay, so final thing.
Sure.
Every guest I get them to do a rap for me. Can be about anything. Can be about being South Asian. Can be about being magic. And then if you do a successful rap, in my opinion, we're going to go to the en route kitchen and you're going to make a rap. So have you got one?
Okay, so you briefly mentioned this to me, and I'm no lyricist. I'm not a wordsmith or any of that sort of thing, but I did spend a little bit of time to come up with something short and sweet.
Perfect.
And I've got it on my phone. Is it okay? Am I allowed to
get your phone out? Absolutely, no problem.
I was here trying to memorize it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm panicking.
Like on the way here, like, oh my God, I need to know my lines.
Where are my cards? I was just, no.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, all right. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go. So I won't do it like in the words of Drake or anything. I'm just going to do it as
as Magic Singh.
As Magic Singh. Okay. Oh, thanks. Okay. So, in the blink of an eye, I will make you see a world of wonder where I hold the key. With a flick of my wrist and a word so quick, I'll astound your mind with a magic trick. From cards to coins and rabbits in hats, I'll leave you spellbound just like that. So gather round and behold the art. I'm the magician of words, here to impact.
Oh my God, I love. You know what? I felt like I was in like a mystical, like, you know, when you're in one of those like enchanted films and you're like, oh,
It worked.
yeah,
It worked.
It worked. And now like I'm going to be transported to Pluto.
Love it.
That's what's going to happen. Okay, well, I guess it's time to go make your rap then, because you've earned it.
Yes, let's do it.
Perfect,
I'm excited.
Let's go. All right, so Magic Singh has now made this exquisite rap and did it incredibly well.
Thank you. I mean, I really enjoy doing that. I've never done this before. I mean, I've made similar-ish things, but not on this level.
Felt like I was on the Magic Singh cooking show.
Thank you.
So please can you just like take a little bite of your rap and tell us how it is.
Okay, here we go. So let's pop that open.
See, we're back on the cooking show.
Oh, sorry. I don't realise I'm doing it. It's cooled down. It has cooled down a bit quite quickly. Okay, here we go. That is really nice. Wow.
Are you impressed?
Honestly, I like it. Not because I made it. It genuinely tastes really nice.
It looks great. So basically,
the ingredients were really nice as well. They smelt so good just before we were starting as well, and that is cool. The samosa bits are really nice.
He just called his rap cool. That's pretty cool. Well, thank you so much for coming
on
on the podcast, Magic Singh. It's been an
You're
absolute
welcome.
delight, and I'm glad you've enjoyed your rap.
It was beautiful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for watching. Toodles.